Hello again, and welcome to the 1871 podcast, already on episode 4 of series 3. And I'm here for this episode with Johnny Hunt. Hello, Johnny.
Hey Mark, how you doing, mate? You good?
Yeah, good, thank you. Johnny, we've got quite a lot to talk about. We're going to give you an ownership update, which, to be honest, won't take very long because we don't know anything really. But we'll do our best to figure out what we think might be going on. We're going to talk about Saturday's win, the season so far, and a few other bits and pieces. So let's get started. Always the elephant in the room, the ownership situation. Johnny, I'll put it to you. I'm going to put you on the spot. What's the latest? What's going on?
Who knows? Honestly, who knows? I think it's just dragging on. It just seems to just typical Reading. It just day by day, and I think it will get done eventually. I think it's just one of these things that the current owner being the type of person he is, and the new guy trying to come in and he wants to obviously get things done. It's just yeah, like all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, who knows, and how that all drags out, and you just sit and wait and go. Somebody tell us something, all these rumors and comments and things, and like they're just that's rumor until somebody, one of the two, comes out and says this or this or that, and you see that we have a new owner and a Reading flag on a social media post saying announcement, then when
So,
that will be, we're not good on our own history of picking things like new managers and
yeah,
different things like that, are we,
so
mate? So
I was going to say, Johnny, in summary, you don't know, basically.
no, God, I wish I did.
Same as me, same as the Reading
I
fans.
think, yeah, and I think that's it. And that rumor and anxiety of not knowing is just, yeah, we want to get moving. Obviously, we thought it'd be done by the transfer window. It's not, but that's, you've had to wait this long, wait a bit
Well,
longer. It's not going to be bad when you look at what we have got on the pitch, which is a very
depends
positive thing.
depends how long we've got to wait for, doesn't it? And look, I think there's a couple of worrying factors here, but I think it feels positive. The worrying factor is this is very much deja vu even, of a year ago. We were having this sort of conversation a year ago, weren't we?
Yeah,
And then it was sort of like, oh, are we going to get a new owner by the start of the season? That didn't happen, and there were lots of rumours and talk about who it might be. I think the big difference this time is we've got a name, we've got who we think is going to be the new owner. I think in summary, we're all feeling quite confident that it is going to happen. It's just a waiting game now. And if you think of, let's say, for example, buying a house, you want to ideally, you see the house you want to put the offer on the house, the offer gets accepted, you might have to do a bit of negotiation, then the offer gets accepted, and then it's got to go through a legal process, and then there might be a chain, so you might be waiting for someone else. So I think it's a bit like that.
yeah,
Um,
glitchy
so
and
so
yeah,
we're just waiting, but I feel quite confident it is going to happen. But as you say, we've been quite confident about managers, etc. before. So,
yeah,
don't listen to us. We don't actually know anything. So,
no.
but that's is that a fair summary? Do you think?
Yeah, look, he's actually. I don't know. I was over at the game on Saturday, and I said hello to the possible new owner, and he seems like a nice guy. He seems like someone who cares about the future, and that was about it as much as he said. And I just wish him good luck. I just hope that things work out, because we want stability, and someone like that, I think, because of his history with Wickham, who runs club properly and all the things that we haven't had recently, he would provide. And it won't be glamorous. It won't be, throwing stupid money out, but that hasn't worked for us. So it will be a case of getting the business side things done properly, I'd hope. And then, the off the pitch stuff. And then in time, which I think is already happening, the on the pitch stuff is already evolving very well. And then hopefully hopefully, if we have a new owner by January 2025, just in case which year we're not sure about,
Fingers crossed.
then
We're not doing. By the way, we're not going to do a new owner announcement until it's been announced.
we've been stung by that.
For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, we were pretty convinced that before Ruben Sellers came in, that Chris Wilder was going to be the new manager. So what we did, we were so convinced about this that Johnny and I, to be really efficient and save time, we recorded an episode. We say, right, we'll record this. What do we think about Chris Wilder being new manager? We were so convinced it was going to happen. And unfortunately, it accidentally went out. So for about, I don't know how long it was live for. It was about an hour, something like that.
That's enough, isn't it?
So we did announce on the 1871 podcast that Chris Wilder was the new Reading manager. We were trying to be clever. It didn't work. So
we won't do that again.
no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that with the new manager. And by the way, it was my fault. So I got that wrong. But anyway, I hope, Johnny, you mentioned that you're from the 1871 podcast and looking forward to having him on as a guest.
I might have said hello from that podcast, possibly. Just
Well,
it'd be good. I think it'd be good if we get this sorted out and then there's time for everything to start getting set.
Yeah, the other thing is, and I don't want to say what was included in that message, but I have been in touch with who we think is going to be the new owner, Rob Couhig, and I'm feeling really positive because of the response that I got. So I won't say exactly what it is, but that, to me, that response would indicate that this is going to be the new owner. Rob Couhig is going to be the new owner. So we're not going to announce it until it happens. But I'm really confident. I'd actually be surprised if that doesn't happen now. I don't know how long we've got to wait. It's like I said, if you're buying a house or selling a house, it can be really frustrating. That wait is quite stressful. So I think that's quite a good analogy, isn't it? Buying a house, similar to that. So
less stressful buying a house than it is buying Reading, I'd reckon.
Yeah, it's like buying a house in a chain, I think, and then something quite right with the chain. But
and especially with the history of Reading and all the stuff that's gone on.
Enough about houses. But I think, Johnny, you're absolutely right. I think it's going to be, in a way, there'll be some similarities to when Sir John Medeski running the club. Because if you think about the owners since Sir John, they've all been foreign owners. Okay, Rob Couhig is coming over from the US, but he has owned Wycombe. He did that well. But the other owners, you get the feeling, since Sir John, that they thought, I'd like to buy a football club. Reading's available. It wasn't their first choice. And they thought, especially with who is still currently the owner, my impression was that he was thinking, I can throw a load of money at this. We could get into the Premier League. He took a gamble, didn't pay off, lost interest. I think that's the summary of it. So
and didn't know English football and how the behind the scenes stuff is run. And I think that's the thing. Somebody like doing that with Wycombe, he knows how it all works. He knows the background of football and all the administration and all the business and all the So, and he's been there and he's done it successfully. So there's absolutely no reason, if and whenever this does happen, that he can't do that with us. But as Pete, I think, for fans' point of view, I think not to get carried away, because it's not going to fix things overnight, because things have been such a mess for a while. It's going to take time, but that's okay. I think you can kind of go, well, it will take time to get everything back on track. But I think he's the sort of person that could do that by the sounds of his history of what he's done. So you couldn't have, I know there's always negatives people look for, but you couldn't have someone with a better pedigree as in running a club in this league to do it for us and to do it well.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of positivity, and I think the general feeling is that he'll do it in the right way. He'll do
Mm.
it in a similar way to Sir John Medeski. You know, this is your budget for the football side of things. He'll sort out the business side of things. So I think in that respect we can feel positive. Um, so yeah, we're hoping to get him on as a guest. We don't know for sure, but that's looking, I would say, definitely like a possibility. Quite hopeful about that. And as I say, that message that I got back, I sent a message to Rob Couhig. Would he like to be a guest? The message I got back gave me a lot of positivity that he is going to be the new owner. So, look, moving on to the team, and Johnny, you came over especially from Ireland for the weekend for that game. Great win. So you
Mm.
must have been a good weekend for you.
Yeah, what I can remember. It was good. No, it really was. I mean, for me, again, it's not just about the football, but it's the community side of things and coming over to see so many people that I've known for a long time, the friends, and catching up and just coming back to the ground. But I think the thing that struck me most, and yeah, it's still early days, but I absolutely love the spirit of that team. For the group of players that we've only got a small squad. And Charlton, you know, unbeaten and haven't lost, and it's going to be a tough test. But apart from Nathan Jones and what he thought in his interview after the game, which is a bit weird. I thought Reading were really organised. They play a high press up front, and they're fitter than last season. I think that's part of the way that they play. Their fitness levels are, they're keeping going. Whereas before, they might run out of legs in the 70th minute or something like that. But now you look at them across the pitch, and Kinde came and played on the right there. He was great. And Basil Teamer came on. He was great. But the one I think obviously you've got Lewis Wing, and he's probably a senior pro now. Sam Smith. It's great to see Charlie get his goal. But the thing for me that stands out is Tyler Binden as a player. He's unreal for a young kid to be playing what a start in his second season. He reminds me of Ivor Ingemarson, just the coolness and calmness of his way, but he's not scared to put his head in anywhere, as he kind of got injured on Saturday, but he went flying in to win the ball on a touchline. And the commitment is just unreal for him. But his game reading and his calmness and then playing along by Mbenge, they're together. They seem to have a good working relationship. And then Craig, slotting in at right back and doing a great job. Jarrell's doing a great job at left back. They're not be the first choice players at some stage for that, but what they do is they play so well together that they all know what they're doing, and they're all ready to fight for each other. And it's not a Reading I've seen for a long time. And I think that biggest credit goes to Ruben, have that mentality installed in the players, and also a really lot of credit to Noel Hunt and the academy staff, who've obviously all these players that are coming through are ready as much as they can be for first team football, and they know their role, they know what they're expected of them, and they're also mentally, physically ready to give it a go. And that to me is all we can ask.
Yeah, I think Johnny, you made a really good point there, because if let's talk about when Shane Long was at the club first time round. Yeah, he was an understudy to begin with,
Yeah.
and he came through. You consider Shane Long as a club legend now, so I think that's a really good point that you've made. And then you've got, yes, it's a small squad, but we've got players who are coming on as substitutes. You look at players like Harley Dean, and we've still got not everyone's fit, so we've obviously lost Femi Aziz. I'm going to ask you a little bit about that. But if you look at the season so far, it's only 4 games. Charlton had not only unbeaten, but they'd won 3 out of 3.
Mm.
And I think, I think you've sort of already hit the nail on the head, really, that it's a young team. It is a small squad, but it is about the team now. And you've got a few standout players. Charlie Savage, Lewis Wing, etc. So
And a strong goalkeeper as well. I think
yeah,
Pereira's made a difference as a
and
keeper
we've
for
got
the way we
we've
play.
yeah, we've got good players, but I think it is about the team, isn't it? And
Mm.
that's where Reading have had success in the past based on having that team and that togetherness. And they all look, and this hasn't been the case in over the last few seasons necessarily, they all look like they're playing for the team. And that might sound like a strange thing to
No,
say, but that's really, really key, really important. And for me, yes, we're only 4 games in, but season so far, 2 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat away, um, 2 home wins, 2 clean sheets at home. We've beaten Charlton. The only loss was against Wrexham, and they've so far won 3 and drawn 1. They're joint top. Um, and I think and we lost Femi Aziz, and there was that kind of internal mix-up. Ruben Sellers thought he could get another player in. That didn't happen. Um, but we don't. We certainly on Saturday. I'm just going to ask your opinion about losing Femi Aziz, Johnny. We certainly didn't look like we were missing him at the weekend. What do you think? Do you think that was a blow that we lost him, or do you look at that team that played on Saturday, the season so far, and think actually whatever's happening with the ownership on the field so far so good?
yeah, definitely. And also we're missing Harvey Nibbs, and I think that was probably the bigger miss than Femi. Offense to him and good luck to him. Moving on, and that mix up there. If he wants to go, he wants to go. There was a slip, and that's what it is. But he's gone, and we move on to what we have got, and that's the group of players that are there now. Um, and I think it kind of takes me back. I think to probably some of the when Pards took over back in those days, and it was a rebuilding of a squad, and we're going to get the odd result like a Wrexham. We're going to lose a game like that because that's where we're probably at with a group of mostly young players, but they'll bounce back and they'll pick up results because the team spirit and the unified group will work their socks off for each other. And with the manager, he's seen the way that they're playing is totally different to last season. And he's got the eyes like now, who I think have really stepped up. Is Ben Elliott looks a totally different player. He's like he's had a pre-season with all these lads rather than them being chucked in at the end. He hasn't really had a chance to work on, and also noticed as well, being there in person, physically wise, some of the players now, they're bulking up. Some of the younger players, you know, they're not easy to just shrug off the ball now. And Ben's a real skillful player. And we've got Sam Smith leading the line like he does, and it just it's enjoyable to watch as well. I think that's they're bringing the enjoyment flavour back to watching Reading, which we haven't had for a long time. Yep, it's not they're not getting carried away. It's 4 games or whatever, but we haven't really started off a positive season since I think Paunovic that season where we went on
Wins,
that
wasn't it? I
decent
think.
run.
Yeah.
But before that, it's been hit and miss. But results wise, performance wise, and the atmosphere was brilliant on Saturday as well.
Yeah.
The fans really got behind the team, and that when they needed them, and there was times in Charlton had pressure, but they had the support there, and we were it was again kind of going back to those days when everyone's in it together, the fans, the players, the manager, and at the end when we won, which we comfortably saw out the game really, which is quite rare for a Reading fan to enjoy the last 3.5 seconds.
And yeah, Johnny, do you feel like we've been quite critical of Reading in recent seasons, and the club as well having a lack of identity, and obviously, the ownership situation is not done yet, but it feels like the team that Ruben Sellers has put together, and really good point there about having a full pre-season, which didn't happen last season.
Mm.
It does feel like there's a bit of an identity coming back to Reading now. You've got you kind of before it was just a squad of players, and you knew some of the players that were going to be playing, but it's already developing into quite a settled team already after only 4 games. Do you feel like that there is a bit more of an identity now as Reading fans?
I think so, and I hope the other people would agree. I think it's still he's still building this squad, but there's something about how he does things and how those players respond to him. I think in the past we've seen with players that sometimes as fans, you kind of go, do they actually really care? And are that bothered over a long period of time, not going picking on any player individually because they're all on big wages. They're not kind of, you know, they're not hungry or whatever. But you look at this group of lads and you're going, on their day, they could beat anyone in that league when if they're all fit and everything's going well because they play well and they stand up physically now against other sides as well. And even like having Harley Dean come on,
Yeah.
to close the game out with his experience
Yeah.
is so helpful
And you have to give credit. I think you have to give credit. You mentioned the manager, obviously, huge credit to Ruben Sellers, but the same with the players because they've gone through that last season with the ownership issue, that uncertainty. They don't like last season. A lot of those players that came in, they don't know what's happening with the club either. Just like fans. So I think they've come through that together, haven't they? And a lot of those players have been with Reading for a year, and now the likes of Charlie Savage are they're kind of senior players now. They help when the young players come through. They're looking up to players like Charlie Savage and Lewis Wing. So I think that's really it does feel a lot better than it did, this time last year even. But obviously we've got a week off now. The next game is not until a week on Saturday against Leyton Orient, another home game. We were supposed to be playing away to Stockport, wasn't it? I think, but that's been postponed because of Reading's international call-ups. So, Johnny, do you think it doesn't matter because we've got a weekend off, but do you think it's a good thing that we're going to have a little break at the weekend and, especially because it's Stockport joint top, or would it have been, I don't know if we're having a friendly or whatever, but what do you think? It's like a little international break for Reading to come back from, isn't it? Do you think that's a good thing?
I think so with the squad. You could say the momentum thing's one thing, but I think because I think they're saying that Harvey Nibbs hopefully will be back after the international break, which gives him time to be ready. It gives players a bit of a breather, which I think because of the squad size and because as well I think because of the energy that they put into the games. I don't when they at the end of the game there's not much left because they've really worked their socks off the whole game and it's brilliant. And so any rest that they can get during the season, to me, I think it's going to be important. So certainly this next few months until maybe we can get freebies in that may only if they're going to benefit the team. We don't want to go back to just picking anyone that just to fill a place on the bench if they're not got the right attitude. And I think that's probably the difference with Sellers. We've got the young lad coming on loan. I honestly don't know too much about, but he's played at this level. But I don't think Ruben's going to have someone that he's not. He's got like that identity, like you're saying, and he wants a certain fit of players that will play for Reading. And someone like Lewis Wing came out the other week and said he doesn't want to stay for Reading for the rest of his career. Is that's a huge thing for a guy that's still fairly young and but that obviously shows there's a spirit there that they love being part of, and they love being part of that despite all the off-field horrendous things that have been going on. That's just something special about them as individuals and about Ruben as a manager.
I think you're right about the manager. That's really key. And if you look back to successful managers in Reading's history, going back to Mark McGee, for example, is really good man manager. Um, and I think what Ruben Sellers is doing is the players are playing for him, and that's because he's treating them with respect as people, as young men.
Mm.
Um, and that counts for a lot. And you hear, Sven-Goran Eriksson, obviously part of England's history, and you hear all the players coming out, all those big name players talking about what a great man he was
Mm.
first. and then the football side of things. And I think Ruben Sellers has got that. He's got that respect to the players because he gives them respect.
Yeah.
That's the impression I get. So um,
It's a bit like Eamon Dolan, isn't it? That
yeah,
kind of
exactly,
character,
exactly.
somebody who respects and he gets the respect back. And I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a very
Brian McDermott's a
yeah,
really good example.
yeah,
So the reason, as we said, that there's no game at the weekend is because we've got four players that have had international call-ups. So that's Charlie Savage for Wales under 21s, Tyler Binden, who you mentioned for New Zealand, Basil Tuma for Malta under 21s, and Conor Boyce Clark for Jamaica. So, Johnny, do you think it's, as well as the way we started the season, the squad we've got, the team we've got, do you think that's good for Reading that we've got international players now and they're getting that sort of experience, and you've got two of them playing for the full international, they've been called up by the full international team for their
yeah.
squads, and two, Charlie Savage and Basil Tuma for the under 21s. For me, that feels like a good situation for Reading to be in as well, to have international players.
Oh, definitely. And we've always had that. And I think Charlie was in the senior men's squad for a while there. Maybe they're just probably a bit of a learning thing for him still because he's still young. But I think in the Reading's positive history, even in the bad history, we've always had international footballers going through. From the last 20 odd years. Some not so good, some not so memorable, but we've always had players that have gone on to represent our country, and I think that's again a huge credit to the guys that do the academy. Again, under all the circumstances, but you're producing players that are able to play at that level and show off, I guess, kind of on behalf of Reading that this is who we are, this is what we do, and that's that's a brilliant achievement. And I'm sure there's more in the pipeline because we're already seeing those talents already. And I think we'll see more and more come through in future years because hopefully, aside from all the ownership stuff, hopefully, fingers crossed, the academy is still keeping its status and we still keep that going. Whilst everything else pans out, that's our jewel in the crown, and it always has been and always will be. If we can keep that where it is, because it's an unbelievable conveyor belt of footballers, to be honest, which we're so lucky and so blessed to have.
It's sort of saved the club, hasn't it? Really.
How many times?
And you mentioned sort of history of internationals at Reading, and I've got an exclusive announcement now. So this is the first time that this has been mentioned. It's all confirmed now. So I don't know if any of you will remember. There was a few former Reading players from the 106 team appeared at Blue Collar Corner in Reading back in January. Dave Kitson, Shane Long, Glenn Little. They're all sold out, those events. So we're actually doing three more. The first player, so it's 3 Sundays in November, November the 3rd, 10th, and the 17th. And the first player is a Reading player who's represented England. Who's that, Johnny?
Nicky Shorey.
Yeah, Nicky Shorey
Oh, look at that.
is the first one. So that's November the 3rd at Blue Collar Corner. And then we've also got Jem Karachan on November the 10th. And then the legend, the Reading legend, is Adam Le Fondre on Sunday, November the 17th.
Brilliant.
Nicky Shorey, Jem Karachan, and Adam Le Fondre. That's on 3 Sundays in a row. Blue Collar Corner, November the 3rd, November the 10th, November the 17th. And it's a bit like Oasis. The tickets aren't on sale yet. So it's a small venue. If you haven't been to Blue Collar Corner, it's a great venue. It's a Reading FC venue, isn't it? For
Yeah.
people meet their pre-match and then go to the game. So it's a great venue. So we'll be revealing more details about those. But that's Nicky Shorey, Jem Karachan, and Adam Le Fondre, an evening with. So looking forward to those. And the tickets are going on sale. I think it's probably end of this month, end of September. So we'll keep you updated about that. But that's an exclusive announcement.
There you
So
go.
really excited about that. Three proper legends, I think you would
Yeah,
say.
absolutely, absolutely, and good people as well, which is
Yeah, yeah.
an
So
aside to the footballing ability. They're sound, aren't they? So that'll
yeah,
be a great night.
plenty
Buy
of
your tickets.
not yet though. You can't.
Yeah,
Not so lots of internationals have played for Reading, but I think Nicky Shaw is the only one that played for England. Is that right?
I think, or the first one since maybe way back during before the war, possibly. I know he was the first, but I'm going back to 1930s. I don't know if there was one that played for England then, possibly, but he was certainly the first for a number of years, if not ever. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that was a big moment in our history,
he
wasn't
was part of the 106 team, obviously part of the team that finished eighth in the Premier League, and then Jem Karachan, part of the team that played in the Premier League under Brian McDermott, and obviously Adam Lafondra. I think it was top scorer, wasn't he, 3 seasons in a row? And he's still playing. He's playing for FC United of Manchester now. He's I can't remember how old he is, 37 or something like that. Sorry if I've got that wrong, but yeah, it'd be really good to listen to them talk about their time at Reading. So that's a Blue Collar Corner in Reading in November, and we'll be keeping you up to date and letting you know when the tickets go on sale. So look, Johnny, great to catch up.
it? Is
We haven't got a game coming up at the weekend, so we can't talk about that. What are you going to do at the weekend instead of watching Reading?
working all weekend. But I've got one thing I will actually mention just quickly while you're doing your plug. I'll do my plug. So there is mental health first aid training, 12th and 13th of October at Reading FC's ground in the Players Lounge, which has kindly been organised with Talking Royals and one of our fans who's a mental health first aider. So if anyone would like to attend, we still have a few places available. It's totally free. You become a fully qualified mental health first aider. It's a really good course. It's really full on. It's really intense, but it's so good to learn about good mental health and supporting others. Bring a sandwich. I think the club will provide some teas and coffees. So it's a good experience, and it's a real positive thing for the Reading FC community. And long term, hopefully, we're looking at having mental health first aiders available at games is one of the kind of the long term things, because you never know when it's needed, and that kind of something that I'm very proud that we've had, and hopefully, if we can offer it to anyone. So if anyone wants to get in touch with Mark or me or Freya, the podcast, social media that you're interested, it's 9:30 to 4:30 on the Saturday and Sunday. It's of the next international break. Hopefully
Is
we
that
got
this
enough.
is that this weekend? Not this weekend coming
No,
up.
it's in October. The next
Okay.
international break, the 12th and 13th. We'll be in well and good. Whereas I think we're Barnsley away that if we do play, but I think probably likelihood is it won't be. But we had to kind of pick some when. So we've had a great response, and we've still got a few places there if anyone's interested. Get in touch.
Is there an email address that you want to give out, Johnny?
And there's talkingrolls@gmail.com. You
Okay.
send that to if you want to get in touch there, or the usuals from 1871 on Twitter, or me on Twitter, or Talking Rolls on Twitter, or anyone on Instagram or wherever. Just where we are. But please get in touch.
Twitter's like the Medeski Stadium. It's not called that anymore, but people
Yeah, it's
still.
called X. Yeah, the
Yeah.
XEX. But it's So look, it's a real positive thing, and I'm really pleased that we can offer it, and people are really excited for it. So
All right.
that's my plug. One plug each.
All right. Good stuff. Well, until the next time, Johnny, thanks for your time, and great start to the season. And who knows, like next time we might actually have an announcement to make about the new ownership, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. But still a waiting game at the moment. But
Yeah.
thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.